How's it guys, Munash here, and today we have Pryde soloing every boss in Act 6 Chapter 4 without any boosts. So I've already made this type of video for two different champs so far. There's one with rank 3 Corvus and rank 3 Warlock. But I gotta say, it was much easier doing it with Pryde compared to the others. What was funny is, one of the hardest fights, the Grandmaster, was actually one of the easiest for me. And one of the easiest fights, this Iceman, was actually the hardest for me. Not saying the fight was difficult, but it was the most difficult out of the 6. And that's mainly because of the cold snap and me deciding to not bring the Nick Fury synergy to make her immune to it. So I just end up taking a lot of damage because there's also a heal block node and I'm running suicides. So this would have been much easier with the Nick Fury synergy, and I almost brought it because on my first attempt I actually failed, because he was just being way too passive and not allowing me to do anything to build prowesses. So I couldn't phase quickly enough to avoid all the cold snap damage. So I figured maybe I was just unlucky, so I tried again without it and it actually worked this time. So for Iceman, I was just throwing special 2s because he's immune to Incinerate, and you do need to bait specials before throwing them because there's Matador. And just try to play very aggressively to avoid taking too much cold snap damage or bleed and poison damage if you're running suicides. Then next up is Thor Ragnarok, who is a much simpler fight, although you do need to bait a lot of special attacks since he has power efficiency like Darkhawk. So for this one, my rotation was special 1, special 2, special 1, special 2. And I never really planned that, but that's just how it worked out for dealing with these power gain on every 20th hit. Then for Darkhawk, well, I made a video on that about 2 days ago, but he was one of the most interesting ones. I was using special 3s and special 2s here, and I was deliberately getting hit by his special 3 because it works out to be a very convenient form of power gain while you're phasing. It kind of felt like using a 400% mutant power boost that actually works on tech champs, but reverse engineered, so now you have to get hit by the opponent's special attack. Then next we have Captain Marvel, who was probably the easiest fight of them all. I mean, there was nothing too specific about her. Very straightforward. I used 1 special 3 and 2 special 2s. Nothing really special about her really. I think the only annoying node was close encounters, which Pryde is pretty good for because it's just generally easier for her to stay close to the opponent. Because when you dash back, you can just dash forward right afterwards and phase and be safe from taking any damage. Then we have the Hydra Adaptoid, which was the first video I made with Pryde. I actually included the whole video here because I accidentally deleted the raw footage. While it wasn't really an accident because that's usually what I do after exporting a video, it's just that at that stage I didn't know I was gonna make this compilation yet. But maybe that's a good thing because that was the first gameplay video, so I tend to explain things more in there, like the synergies and the whole phasing mechanic. So yeah, that's about 11 minutes in. Then finally we have the Grandmaster, and first I gotta say, Pryde has to be the best counter for this fight, like hands down, no questions asked, not even close to second. Just the fact that she takes no damage while phasing means that you are pretty much always safe to attempt to intercept. If you mistime it and you actually get hit, as long as you were phased, you will take no damage. And phasing gets paused while you get hit, so the level of sustainability in this fight is just ridiculous. The Grandmaster does counter miss, so you basically have a true focus interaction here, although you can't gain power in the first phase, and in the second phase you can only gain 1 bar. Then you have the synergies that make it even easier. So Tigra gives unblockable combos after 10 prowesses, so finding those openings becomes extremely easy. And then Emma Frost makes her immune to inverted control, so that third phase becomes very easy as well. So yeah, a very easy Grandmaster solo. I actually played very poorly in this one because I just didn't care. There was a time when I was throwing clumsy intercepts going back and forth because getting hit didn't really matter. It was only towards the end where I took a lot of damage by getting hit by a special 1, but I decided to heal it all back in the last phase just for the aesthetic of a yellow bar. So those are all the fights, and what's funny is when I started playing with Pryde, I thought maybe she's not as strong as my initial impressions were. Maybe I overestimated her a bit. But the more I play with her, the more I realize just how accurate my initial thoughts were. Cause she's just insane once you really get the hang of her. And I say that because even though it might look easy, there is still a degree of risk while playing with her. Or at least playing with her very efficiently, because you're dashing back and forth so much, and you know, one little mistake, one mistimed dash, and that could be it. If you're not phasing, of course, but if you are phasing, then you're safe from pretty much everything. And I think it's worth mentioning that even though I had an almost full synergy team, I also used Kitty Pryde for almost every fight on the paths. There were actually very few fights where I used Ghost and Tigra, because Kitty Pryde just works on so many fights. Like I was using her on Dominoes, Arcuses, Spidey champs that evade a lot, auto blockers, mist champs, and yeah, I mean the list goes on and on. So yeah, I'm not gonna talk too much on this one, just gonna let the gameplay play. So I hope you guys found this interesting, and as always, thank you for watching, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon. guys, Munash here, and today we have some Pryde gameplay. So I decided to try out against the Hydra Adaptoid boss in Act 6 Chapter 4, because this is one of the more niche or restrictive bosses that I haven't seen her being used for, because ideally you want a champ who can deal with unstoppable buffs, or really good power control. Then there's a few that can deal a lot of damage very quickly that might work. Corvus also works pretty well because he can still lower ability accuracy despite the Force of Will node. And Pryde has a very similar ability while phasing against robots, so maybe she can do the same. But she doesn't need to because of phasing and how she avoids all damage. And thanks to the Tiger synergy, she becomes unblockable while phasing when she has 10 or more prowesses. So that makes it quite easy to get in those openings. And because she takes no damage while phasing, I can just hit him while he's unstoppable. And that makes this a bit of a cheese fest, kind of reminds me of Thing. But you do kind of still need to know what you're doing, make sure you have at least 3 prowesses so you can phase. Make sure you have enough space to dash forward to actually activate the phase. And if you do cause hits to miss, you'll gain 3 prowesses for each miss, but at the end of the phase you will lose 6 prowesses. And that's why the ghost synergy is pretty handy, because you get an extra 2 prowesses for each miss. So it's like you're only losing 1 now. So I use a special 3 to apply Incinerates to increase prowess potency, since those have longer duration. And it's Matador, so getting to 3 balls is quite quick. Then I just build up my prowesses again and get to 2 balls of power so I can drop some fat unblockable special 2s. If he goes unstoppable and I can't phase, I just parry a bit more until I can. And I wasn't trying to build a lot of prowesses to maximize damage, I was just phasing and then throwing my special 2 at a safe and convenient time. So yeah, Pryde kind of made this fight a joke. I mean, just the combination of her phasing ability and the unblockable attacks is so powerful, I must say. I mean, he was unstoppable for at least half the time and it did not even matter. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this one. I hope you guys found this interesting, and as always, thank you for watching, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.
A few moments later.